The Hebrew Bible names him. Assyrian kings carved his name into their own royal inscriptions. Across Egypt and Nubia, his monuments still stand nearly 2,700 years later. Yet despite all this evidence, millions of people finish school without ever hearing his name. One of history's most remarkable pharaohs became one of its smallest footnotes. Around 690 BC, a prince from Napata, deep in the Kingdom of Kush, in present-day Sudan, became Pharaoh of Egypt. His name was Taharqa. He was the fourth Kushite ruler of Egypt's 25th Dynasty. He inherited an empire stretching roughly 1,500 miles along the Nile, from the Mediterranean coast to the heart of Africa, one of the largest Egyptian realms since the height of the New Kingdom. The Kushite kings did not see themselves as outsiders ruling Egypt. They presented themselves as restorers. They revived ancient royal traditions. They renewed religious ceremonies. They repaired temples that generations of neglect had left in decline. Taharqa launched one of the most ambitious building programs of Egypt's late period. At Karnak, he commissioned the monumental kiosk, among the largest structures of its kind within the temple complex. At Kawa and Jebel Barkal, he expanded sacred temples dedicated to Amun. At Nuri, he established a royal cemetery whose steep pyramids created a distinctly Kushite architectural identity. He wasn't imitating earlier pharaohs. He was continuing their civilization. To the northeast, another empire was rising, Assyria, the most militarized power of the ancient Near East. It had already conquered Israel. Judah stood under growing pressure. Its king, Hezekiah, looked south for support, toward Egypt, toward Kush. The Hebrew Bible later names Taharqa, king of Kush, during the Assyrian campaign against Jerusalem. Many historians believe he was still a young military commander at the time, and that the biblical writers referred to him by the royal title he later held. Whatever the chronology, one thing is clear. Taharqa was already significant enough to become part of the story. Assyrian royal inscriptions also identify Taharqa as one of their principal opponents. Empires do not preserve the names of insignificant enemies. By 674 BC, Taharqa ruled Egypt. Esarhaddon invaded. The campaign failed. One of the rare military setbacks recorded during Assyria's expansion. 3 years later, Assyria returned with a much larger army. This time, Memphis fell. Taharqa retreated south. Members of his family were captured. It was a genuine defeat. And we don't erase defeats to tell a stronger story. History deserves better than that. But Taharqa was not finished. Within 2 years, he returned. He recovered much of Upper Egypt. Assyria had to launch another campaign under Ashurbanipal to drive him south once again. 3 major invasions, repeated campaigns, one ruler who refused to disappear. Taharqa died around 664 BC. Although Egypt was lost, Kush endured. His kingdom remained powerful in Nubia. His legacy survives in stone. The Kawa stela records his coronation and royal works. Temple walls at Karnak still preserve his inscriptions. His pyramid still rises at Nuri. Fragments remain scattered across museums around the world. Compare the attention. Ramesses II dominates documentaries, films, textbooks, and museum galleries. Taharqa, a pharaoh who restored temples across Egypt and Nubia, reshaped sacred architecture, resisted Assyria through repeated campaigns, and whose name appears in both Assyrian royal inscriptions and the Hebrew Bible, often receives only a few paragraphs. Not the destruction of every monument, not the disappearance of every inscription. The evidence survived, but the emphasis changed. Some civilizations became central to the story. Others became footnotes. Taharqa's reign was never erased from history itself. The Assyrians recorded him. Egyptian monuments preserve him. Biblical tradition remembers him. Yet in many modern narratives, he receives only a fraction of the attention given to more familiar pharaohs. He ruled an empire stretching from the Mediterranean to the heart of Africa. He restored temples. He transformed sacred architecture. He resisted the most powerful military empire of his age through repeated campaigns, forcing Assyria to invade Egypt again and again before finally securing control. His name appears in the Hebrew Bible. His enemies recorded him in their own royal inscriptions. His monuments still stand. The evidence survived. The monuments survived. The inscriptions survived. What changed was the story people chose to tell. History was edited. We restore it. History belongs to those who uncover it. Subscribe to the Griot Cloud now and claim your seat among the architects of the past. The empire awaits.